Do you always feel like Tony has your back? I asked her. She smiled. Yeah. I pressed a little further. Like, you always feel like you can count on him no matter what? Without hesitation, she said, Yes. I paused for a moment. That's how I felt about David. She nodded. Well, you should feel that way. Then she said something that hit me hard. Oh, you didn't feel that way with Dad. And I looked at her and said, No, I didn't. I want every woman to feel this confident, this loved, this cared for, this secure, because I know what it feels like to not have that. And it's awful. Hey friends, it's Kody from Without a Crystal Ball, and welcome back to the channel. Let's talk about Kody Brown Woolley, now known simply as Kody Woolley. She's the wife of David Woolley, but more importantly, she's a survivor. A survivor of Kody Brown, a survivor of polygamy, a survivor of years spent in a belief system that told her what love was supposed to look like. And now she's figuring out what it actually feels like. Like so many women who leave polygamy, Kody is unpacking decades of emotional entanglement, questioning what she believed, reevaluating what she endured, and slowly putting together a new vision of life that doesn't revolve around shared affection or conditional love. Do you remember how the show tried to normalize polygamy? How they would present monogamy and polygamy as almost interchangeable? Kody's starting to realize how wildly untrue that was. And she's finally seeing what she missed out on. The trust she now has with David is something she never experienced with Kody. She can lean on him. She can rely on him. She knows deep down that he is there for her. Always. Contrast that with the years she spent with Kody, never feeling good enough, never feeling truly loved or desired, never feeling safe. It's heartbreaking. To be in a marriage where you're not sure your partner has your back, where your needs come second or last, that's not just lonely. That's emotionally exhausting. Meanwhile, Kody's out here spinning narratives, saying he was alienated from his kids by the wives, but he's also admitted he had barely any relationship with them as they were growing up. Isn't that something? For years, the show portrayed him as a devoted father, ever present, loving, admired. But now, the curtain's being pulled back, and let's not forget the elephant in the room: intimacy. It was always this awkward shadow over everything. We knew he was intimate with his wives. Obviously, there were children. But public affection, holding hands, kisses, off limits in front of the other wives. Still, they filmed a reality show. And guess what? The rules changed. Suddenly, we're watching Kody be affectionate on camera. And now his other wives are seeing that intimacy on screen. Scenes of him being tender, loving, doting. Just not with them. It's no wonder things started to shift. For the first time, Kody and the others had a window into what life was like for Kody when he wasn't with them. They were finally seeing what their marriages weren't. The differences were impossible to ignore. The exposure to the outside world was part of it. But imagine spending your whole adult life in a system where everything is kept behind closed doors, where you don't know what goes on in the other marriages, and you're not supposed to ask. Then suddenly, you have footage, evidence, emotionally intimate moments you were never part of. That alone could spark questions, doubt, maybe even jealousy. But more than that, clarity. Kody's finally able to see what love should feel like. And now that she knows, there's no going back. It all became a bit more obvious when the show started capturing the intimacy. Those little moments that, once broadcast, made things harder to ignore. For the first time, Kody openly admits something shocking, even to herself. She can't believe she was ever in a relationship where it was normal for the man she loved to be intimate with other women. She reflects back, almost in disbelief, remembering how they used to make it all seem like fun. Just lighthearted, easygoing family moments. Kody would bring them all flowers, sometimes handing them out in front of each other. And then he'd kiss them, all of them, right there, in the same room. And sure, maybe the flowers were the same, but the kisses? That part, Christine recalls, was more awkward than romantic. She's stunned now, realizing she once accepted all of it as normal. Being married to a man who openly kissed other women, had intimate relationships with them. It was just part of their lifestyle, part of the culture. But now, she can hardly understand how she ever thought that was okay. Looking back, the relationships often lacked depth. You could see it, or maybe you couldn't, but you could feel it. There wasn't real connection. Not really. Vulnerability was rare. No one wanted to open up or dig into how they truly felt. And Christine? She openly disliked having those deeper conversations, especially about their relationship. Then there's Valentine's Day, the televised version, at least. Kody would show up with bouquets, delivering them like a performance. One for each wife, a quick kiss, a practice smile. Happy Valentine's Day. And again, Christine wonders, how was I okay with this? She says it out loud now, over and over. I can't believe I was okay with it. But almost in the same breath she says, but I was. Because that's what we were taught. That's what we believed was right. But if she really was okay with it, why did it hurt so much when Robyn entered the picture? Christine has said she didn't feel jealousy until Robyn came along. That's when everything changed. She remembers finding out that Kody kissed Robyn, and they weren't even married yet. That moment hit her hard. She asked him, "Why would you do that?" And he reminded her they had discussed how awkward it was when he kissed his wives for the first time over the altar. Christine had even suggested that maybe next time it should happen before the wedding. Still, she never expected it to feel like that. Maybe Christine got the longest stretch of the honeymoon phase. Meri and Janelle? Their relationships with Kody never quite had the same spark. Christine came in, and suddenly, she was the new favorite. For a while, at least. But when Robyn joined the family, Christine was done having children. And in their world, that meant something. That meant she was no longer the newest, no longer useful. Because in that culture, a wife's worth often seemed tied to how many children she could give. And when that stopped, so did the attention. So maybe Christine did have a good relationship with Kody once. Maybe it felt like love or something close to it. But when the kisses started to mean something different, when they weren't just routine, but reminders of being replaced, that's when everything began to unravel. And now, with distance, Christine sees it clearly. She wasn't okay. She was just told she had to be. Every time a new wife enters the picture, especially one who can still have children, she becomes the center of attention. That's just how it's always gone. Robyn was a full decade younger than the others, and she gave him at least 2 kids. Honestly, I'm surprised she didn't have more. But the moment she arrived, everything shifted. It wasn't just jealousy. It was the quiet realization that she was being replaced. For Christine, being the last wife meant being the favorite. And as long as no one came after her, she was secure. But when Robyn showed up, that illusion cracked. It's easy to support the system when it's not you being pushed aside. It had already happened to Janelle. It had already happened to Meri. And they weren't okay with it. Truth is, I don't think any of them ever were. If they had been, Kody wouldn't have needed to hide his affection. If he couldn't kiss one wife in front of the others, if love had to be hidden, then nobody was truly okay with it. That's your subconscious screaming, "This is not right." Eventually, Christine saw it for what it was. And I'm proud of her. To hear her say, "I can't believe I ever accepted that I was with someone who was sleeping with other women." That's a breakthrough. Go, Christine. Now, when it comes to the kids, things are complicated. I'm not in the home anymore. They struggle to place me, to understand this new dynamic. And I'm trying to build real relationships with them, not ones filtered through my ex-wives. I never speak badly about Kody to them. Never. But I do wish he'd reach out more. I wish he'd try harder to be present. I've done all I can to support that bond, but the truth is, I've never been a fan of most men in polygamy. Too many of them are arrogant and cruel. Yes, some genuinely believe they're serving God, and they become prisoners of a belief system they never questioned. And sure, even those men are victims in some way, but they still hold all the power. And too often, they're the source of deep harm. The culture, the religion, it demands too much. Of men and women alike, it's abusive at its core. Still, there are men who leave and come to understand the damage they've done. They carry shame, but they grow. They own it. Kody isn't one of them. He has excuses. He tells himself stories about why he did what he did. But when it comes to empathy, to taking responsibility for the pain he caused, he fails. He runs from accountability. And that, to me, says it all. Even outside of polygamy, he hasn't changed. And maybe he never will. There are men, some of them older now, who look back and truly feel the weight of their actions. They regret how they treated the women in their lives. They carry guilt about the way their children were raised, about the harm they caused. I'm thinking of one man in particular. I know his daughter. He's owned up to it. He didn't run from the truth. He's openly admitted he wasn't a good husband, wasn't a good father. And when he talks with his kids, it's not some combative exchange. It's not about defending himself. It's about facing what he did and how they felt. He listens and he grieves. But then there's Kody. There's something missing in him. Empathy, remorse. Every time he edges near accountability, he pulls back. Even when he admits he said cruel things about his wives, about his kids, it always comes with a qualifier. It was my ego, he says. I said I didn't love them. I said I didn't care. I called it all trash, but it was only because I was hurt, because they were leaving me. And just like that, he's excused himself. He doesn't sit in the wrongness of it. He just explains it away. And yet, he talks about his identity, how it was built on being admired, on being told he was great. He admits his sense of self was wrapped up in being worshipped by his wives, by his kids. And now that they're gone, now that they're saying he wasn't who they thought, he says he doesn't blame them. I called them trash, he says. So I get it. But here's the truth. He still doesn't get it. He doesn't grasp why they feel what they feel. He doesn't look at what he did that brought them to that point. He's not unpacking the pain he caused. He's not owning the reality that they were hurting while he stood at the center of it all, satisfied, as long as his ego was fed. And Kody, he was satisfied. As long as the illusion stayed intact, as long as he was the sun and everyone else revolved around him. He was willing to let his family suffer, so long as he could keep feeling admired. Even when he talks about his kids, he's distant. He says there were no real relationships because he wasn't in their lives. He was present in the house, but absent from their world. He was a visitor, not a father. And when polygamous men like Kody show up, the house shifts. It's not a normal day. It's a performance. Special cups, special meals, everyone pretending it's all okay, grateful he even showed up. And he never had to be more. He never had to try, because being worshipped was enough. And that's the tragedy. He began lashing out the moment they stopped feeding his ego. Suddenly, the narrative shifted. He started claiming things like, I only acted that way because I didn't love them. But here's what he refuses to admit. He didn't leave any of those women. No, he abandoned them. Yet each and every one of them ended up walking away from him. This isn't about heartbreak. This is about control. It's about a man desperate to reclaim a version of the story where he was in charge. But Janelle nailed it. He doesn't want to face his own failure. He failed as a father. He failed as a partner. He took on more than he could ever handle, more children, more relationships, and then walked away from the very people who counted on him. He was negligent. He was manipulative. He was demeaning, even abusive. And why? Because he believed he was untouchable. Because his ego convinced him that devotion gave him the right to mistreat those around him. And now, even after it's all come crashing down, he still clings to the idea that he was the one who was wronged. He says, I forgive them. But forgive them for what? They owe him nothing. This is a man still trapped in his delusion, an egomaniac unwilling to admit he caused the damage. He hurled cruel words at his children, called them names no parent ever should. One of his children died, and he didn't show up. And now he wants to play the victim? Say he acted out of pain or lack of love? No, Kody. You did those things because you thought you could, because your ego told you there would be no consequences. But there were. This episode, it was a window into who he really is. And Christine is left disgusted that she ever had to share him. And honestly, who could blame her? What do you think? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe if you haven't already, and click the bell so you never miss what's next. Thanks for watching. See you next time.